Respected Chair, dear delegates, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, allow me to thank Vivekananda International Foundation as well as International Buddhist Confederation, not the International Boys Club. I think International Buddhist Confederation definitely deserves some respect, regardless of our personal views. But anyway, as well as the Tokyo Foundation, it is a great honor and it's very humbling to be among many speakers, scholars, and of all among religious leaders, examples, educators, you name it. There's supposed to be that image that we have as spiritual people, you know. So the last 2 days, you know, I've been observing and, you know, what has been taking place, what has been said, what has been presented. And, you know, let's take a moment and kind of observe and look at the name, Global Hindu Buddhist Initiative. Have we achieved initiating a dialogue? Just like my previous speaker has mentioned, it's a dialogue that has been taken on for centuries and centuries, which I agree. But to a certain extent, we still lack communication, dialogue, network, and such conferences that we are like today. Second point, it says conflict avoidance. Here, I like to be a little bit critical, with respect, not in a disrespectful or in a negative sense. The reason I want to say that, the reason I want to be critical is I like to be realistic. I like to be optimistic. I like to be very pragmatic. And I'm a person that likes to take action, not just only speak and deliver, but also I like to deliver an action. In the Buddhist concept, we speak about the body, speech, and mind. Everything we do, you know, is dedicate your body, speech, and mind. Dedicate your life to your guru, body, speech, and mind. Dedicate your humanitarian activities through body, speech, and mind. Deliver your teachings through body, speech, and mind, and so on. And in the 2 days conference, at the same time, I'm very grateful. At the same time, I'm a little bit embarrassed as well, because we have done a very good job in conflict avoidance. Beyond that, we have done a tremendous job, a great job in avoiding each other. I have about a handful of visiting cards in my pocket right now, in my bag over there. I don't have one visiting card for any of the swamis or any of the spiritual leaders or any of the Hindus. And we're gathered here today to talk about conflict avoidance. I mean, we have achieved that. We have not only achieved that, we have avoided each other. So, if that's the conference or the whole concept of gathering here today, which I truly believe it's not the case to avoid each other, but a case to have a dialogue, how we can work together, how can we unite our efforts, how we can unite our experience in that we have collaborated in the thousands of years in the past, and how we can move forward and protecting Mother Nature. Now, speaking of environmental issues, right? You know, the past days there's been a lot of information, you know, and truly speaking, I may not be speaking for everybody, but speaking for myself individually, a lot of the information that was given and presented, the slideshows, the speakers, you know, their opinions, is nothing new to me. I've been to many conferences. Of course, I'm a newcomer on the international platform. But I truly believe that I will be attending a lot more conferences in the years to come. But in many of the conferences that I've been to, have spoken very, as it is a trendy thing, and it's a hot topic of the century, environment, protecting the environment, We know it's in a threat right now. We know it's in a very critical situation right now. But yesterday, Shri Ravi Shankar mentioned, he has 3 points. Education, education, education. On top of that, this morning the Ganden Shartse Monastery's abbot supported that by saying that he agrees with what Shri Ravi Shankar has said. I also agree too. But then again, 3 points. Education, education, education is really, truly not enough. Today we have over 7 billion human beings on this planet. And I want to make 7 billion points within 7 seconds. Education to every single human being on this planet. Yet in the past days, we had many great speakers, especially, mainly from the, spiritual community. Our Buddhists, as well as the Hindus, spoke very eloquently, beautifully about the Vedas and the Suttas and the Sutras, and reciting the verses and explaining them in a very short period of time. It is very touching, because every new word that I hear, every new Veda that I hear, and every word that I hear from a sutra, it's an educational experience for me, But then again, we come here and say, Buddha said this, so-and-so said this, so-and-so Acharya said this and that. But how do we implement those teachings? How do we act on those teachings? How do we bring results to those teachings? That's the question. That's a question not to ask us or spiritual figures. That's a question for you to decide and analyze. We're here to provide information. That's why we're separated, observers and speakers. Speakers are the ones that are supposed to be giving out information. But then again, have we achieved our goal in sharing this information? I don't think so. Because I find a huge gap. We have the very base information, the Vedas and the Sutras and the Suttas and so on. Then we have the well-advanced scientists who have done tremendous research on various topics. We're consuming such and such amount of animals, the Ganga River is being polluted, the trees are being cut down, the rivers are, it's a threat to, the whole continent of Asia and so on. But how do we prevent that? The only way to prevent that is through education. And India, yesterday, Prime Minister, everybody has spoken so highly of Prime Minister. Therefore, I'm going to make an addition to that. But at the same time, I'm going to be a little bit constructive, critical about that as well. Yesterday, he spoke about the century, Asian century. Is that correct? Asian century, yeah? I think that's a little bit too national, or maybe too narrow.
Parochial.
I'm sorry?
Parochial.
Parochian. Okay, yes, parochian. Though I don't know what that means, but I'll just say. But I think India is, and I'm sure everybody will agree with me, the largest, you hear my voice? The largest democratic nation on this planet. A country which has all major religious traditions in very high numbers. All major religious traditions that exist on this planet exist in India alone. So therefore, India has a moral responsibility to be not only a century of Asia, but the century of today's civilization. And I say this from my heart because I was born in the US, which always says they are promoting democracy, liberty, and freedom, and so on. But then again, you look at the war that's taken place. Since the new millennium, everybody had high hopes. Oh, the 20th century was a century of bloodshed. World War I, World War II, so and so on. And everybody had high hopes, you know. I had high hopes for the new millennium. But frankly speaking, the beginning of the 21st century did not begin so well as we anticipated, as we expected, as we wished, as we prayed for. Since the new millennium, how many wars have already been started and are continuing to this day, and we see a threat of that increasing in the near future, in the next 5 years. So what are we doing? What is India doing? At one point, you know, certain continents or certain countries and certain scientists and technologists seem to be too advanced. They have all this information, yeah? What all these air, what exists in the world, in the air, what we're breathing in, how it affects, you know, what type of cancers are coming up, and so on. But I don't see a middle way, or middle person, or a middle specialist that kind of brings down the over-advanced information that we have and the ones that have fallen behind in terms of technology, science, education, and so on. We need a strategy. We need to implement those strategies. That's what we need to work on. The environment is, of course, is a hot topic. It's like, okay, how long has that been going on now? You know, it's been going on for, as far as I can remember, you know, I mean, last 20 years, 20-something years. But 20 years, you know, it's not, we have gathered so much research and data and information in the last 20 years that we have not achieved as much as we should according to the information that we have received. We're falling behind in terms of that. We're falling behind on that. And we continue to complain that the world is endangered, the world is endangered. We already know that. Thanks to Google, you know, Yandex, you know, Yahoo, you know, Bing.com, whatever, you know. Everything is at the tip of our finger now. We don't need to spend crores, millions to fly from far away to get this information. Though it is nice to interact, you know, face to face, everything's at the tip of our finger now. The action that we need to take right now is how do we implement these and how do we prevent it from happening? You know, there's a great, Buddhist, scholar who said that whatever happened in the past has disappeared into space. The most important thing now is the future. The future depends on the present, and the present is in your hand. So whether I want to have dinner tonight or not, that's up to me. Whether I'm going to be happy tomorrow or not, or if I'm going to be an angry person or not, that's up to me. That is a situation that I truly control. in my hand. I've been, living in Russia for the last 23 years, I believe. Well, anyway, ever since the collapse of the Soviet Union. I've been involved in assisting, reviving Buddhism in a place that once existed, that had been destroyed during the communist period. I've been involved in assisting communities rebuild, reestablish, and redevelop. In 2012, the Russian government has passed a new law by introducing into the school's curriculum world religious traditions. Мировой религиозные традиции. So what that means is that every student, it is compulsory to choose a religion which they want to study. Right now it's a beginning stage because it's only been established in 2012. The reason is that Russia is facing a social as well as economic problem. The social problem is number of employment rate is rising. Number of alcoholism is rising. Number of drug addicts is rising. Number of family problems are rising. Number of divorce rate is rising. Number of single parents are arising. So it says in the law, church and government is separated. Every government says that. Church and state is separated by law. But then again, we have to coexist as a community. If a Buddhist monk kills somebody in Russia, what's going to happen to him? He's going to get arrested. And when the police come and get him, he cannot say, oh, church and state is separated. You're not allowed to arrest me. Correct? He's going to be arrested based on the laws of that country. So what's the point of saying government and church are separated when you live in one country, you live in one community, you follow one rule? You cannot separate that. You cannot separate individuals. You cannot separate us as human beings. Therefore, we must come together, work together. So Russia has made a very small step by introducing these programs. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who considers himself son of India because he has lived in exile for the last over 50 years now, close to 60 now. He has been speaking all over the world, as well as within India, especially within the last 10 years, because I follow him on Twitter and Facebook and his website. He's been traveling to many universities and many educational institutions within India and trying to encourage India to take the lead on secular ethics, which is not based on any religious tradition, but is based on humanistic values, which is love, compassion, forgiveness, and so on. India has to take a lead, should take a lead, has the resources, has the philosophers, has the religious leaders to be a leader to promote secular ethics. Okay, let's forget if you don't understand what secular ethic means, but to be a leader, to be a leader in peace, to be a leader in science, to be a leader in technology. I have a base in the U.S., and and I have quite a number of friends who are working in the IT section, technology, and so on. You would be surprised by how many smart Indians are working in these tech companies. The Americans are very good at pushing the calculator. That's all they know. They know the plus signs, but they don't understand the minus sign. Plus, 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 plus. Plus equals greed. Minus equals fear. So, we have been exporting all our knowledge, experience, education abroad. We need to embrace that and bring them back to India. And I certainly agree. Please, please, yes, please. You know, I certainly agree with, Prime Minister Modi's, campaign, as you might say, make in India, you know. And when he says make in India, he doesn't mean cars, cell phones, and so on. He means everything. Make peace. Let's make it in India. Make literature. Make poetry. Make technology. Make science. Make spiritual leaders. Make more swamis. Make more Buddhist monks. But make it all in India. Because India has the resources. India has the resources, you know. Here's one thing, you know, I want to set an example. And, being a co-chair, I want to take advantage of my privileges of going beyond the 15 minutes. But, but I'll leave you some time. Don't worry about it, yeah. Yes, question and answer. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I've been leading these pilgrimage groups from Russia, you know, from various Buddhist traditions, you know. There's a few reasons I do this. There's 4 main reasons I do that. Number 1, they come to India, you know, they listen to the Vedas and the Sutra and the Sutras and so on, and they listen to many spiritual teachings as well as philosophy and so on. And as well as they come to see their spiritual leader, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who lives in India. Wonderful country. That's number 1. Number 2, as a Buddhist, all our Buddhist heritage and pilgrimage sites, holy sites, exist in India. So we must come and pay our respect and visit and learn about the history, the life story of Buddha by traveling to all these wonderful places. Number 3, these are people that have lived under a totalitarian system for over 70 years, who were closed to the outside world. No information, not knowing about how others lived. They were made to believe that people who lived in the Soviet Union had the highest quality of lifestyle. So, based on that belief, you turn water off for one day, the whole city goes erupt. Electricity is turned off, gas is turned off, you know, whatever is turned off for, let's say, a half a day. Everybody calls, oh, how can you do this? How can we live in the 21st century? Everybody's so angry and aggressive. So much anger and aggressive is being poured out. The Russians think they live very badly right now. Number 4, when they come to India, it's a cultural experience. Spicy food, poor digestion, tap water versus bottled water. You know, they have a wonderful cultural experience, you know. From the time they get off the plane and, walk out of international airport, it's a culture shock for them. And that is the best moment that of the journey, that just seeing their faces, you know. Number 4, right, which is my most favorite part of organizing these pilgrimages. When they go back home, they look back at the journey that they made. They say to themselves, you know what? We live good after all. We live good after, we live wonderful. Let's look at India. For water quality, for air quality, garbage everywhere, environment, issues. I mean, India is like the place, It really is. Not only India, but of course, many other countries as well. But since we're doing this conference in India, in the capital, they appreciate life. They say, you know what, we live good. It's okay, turn the water off for half a day. Turn the electricity off for half a day. The Indians live without water. They live without electricity. They burn candles. But they say, you know what? They say, something's missing in us. Some important quality is missing in our day-to-day lives. And I ask them, what is it? And they tell me, Indians, they live so happily. And we have heating system, we have hot water, we have cold water, we have gas. We don't have to carry the gas cylinders on our back to our homes. It's directly injected into every home. And say, we have all these material facilities, material comfort, but we're not happy. India has changed me. It's poor, it's backward. They make a promise every day that it will be done tomorrow. I go tomorrow, it'll be done tomorrow. And they say, they're happy. They wiggle their heads. I scold them. They say, yes, everything is okay. But still, nothing will be done because he will say, kal aa jao, ho jayega, kal aa jao. And they're happy. To the point where the scolder loses his option that they end up laughing with them. In the last 2 years, I've seen this very strong campaign, and probably many of the world travelers among the Indian community have probably seen this as well, where it says, incredible India, incredible India. And India truly is incredible. It's a world trend. But at the same time, we must never forget inner development, which means spiritual development. We have to develop spiritually as well, and at the same time, we have to keep that a balance as well. We have to balance it. If there's a disbalance, then it's a global threat. We have to understand that. And not only understand it and nod our heads in agreement, but we also have to take action as well. So therefore, thank you very much for listening to me, blah, blah, blah. I want to thank my co-chair, and I want to definitely end by setting a very good example, yeah? Setting a very good example. Swamiji, I apologize that we haven't really exchanged our name cards, but I definitely want to end this session with a big hug. Is that okay? Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.